I'm going to go ahead and unmute Musk. And then, Otis, do you want to lead us off today? Otis, can you hear me?
It's giving me, it kept saying muted. Yeah, I'm here.
Otis, do you have a question?
It's not today. That's okay.
Dudley?
Coach, now that you've got all the high school kids signed, just talk about what a great class that is in state.
Yeah, Dudley. I mean, I think that a lot of hard work went in by the entire staff, and to be able to get all four really good guys that wanted to be part of the Razorback family. Players that play, all different positions for the most part. I think just a really, really exciting, recruiting class for us, especially our first class. We as a staff and as a program are absolutely thrilled.
Appreciate it.
Hey, Kyle, can I, before there's another question, can I kind of jump in and make a little announcement?
You bet. Go ahead.
So I just wanted everybody to know that Isaiah Joe has submitted his paperwork for the NBA draft. He will not hire an agent. He'll keep the door open for a possible return to college. Isaiah and his family, they want to gather as much feedback as they possibly can. They want to learn through this process, and then, make a decision whenever that time comes, whether to keep his name in the draft or to come back to the University of Arkansas. So I wanted that paperwork was submitted today. And so we're, want to support him and we had a Zoom call today with our current team and Isaiah was on it, and he'll remain part of everything that we do going forward. He'll just kind of have a dual role in pursuing that goal as well as doing anything that we do as a program as well. We can go back to questions.
All right, Bob.
Hey, Eric, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Bob?
I'm okay. Well, I know you said your gut feeling was that Isaiah would probably enter the draft, so it's not a surprise. But as far as the evaluation process that you've been able to get from your NBA guys about Isaiah, is there anything you can share with us in that regard? What the NBA thinks about Isaiah?
No, I mean, I think that he's got good feedback. We've put together a little book for Isaiah, and so he can also share it with his family. And I'm on the phone a lot with his father, Derek, and we communicate more than a few times during the week, and we'll just continue to try to gather information. And he has received his feedback back from the undergraduate committee. That came back a few days ago, and a lot of those conversations obviously will remain private, but he has gotten good feedback, and people recognize what a great player he is.
Some kids don't make great decisions when it comes to the draft. Isaiah seems like a pretty mature kid. How confident are you that whatever he decides, it'll be a pretty smart, well-informed decision?
Yeah, I have no doubt that whatever decision Isaiah and his family will make will be for sure the right decision. I think the exact wording last night when I talked with Derek, and like I said, Isaiah just got off the phone on the Zoom call. They are not hiring an agent. That was made abundantly clear. That they're going through the process to use it as a feedback time and to try to make a the best decision that they possibly can, but they are not hiring an agent for sure.
And as far as, you know, the signings, KK Robinson, I guess he's your latest guy, and you hadn't been able to talk about him previously. What's your thoughts about KK and what he brings to the table for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, KK, you know, one, he's a great competitor, very serious-minded about the game, really good speed with the basketball, really unselfish. I mean, when I watched him at Oak Hill, you know, he played with some guys that really score the ball, and he was perfectly content to make his teammates better, to share the ball. He's got great court vision. He's really good in transition. You know, he's a point guard that's a facilitator. And then defensively, he can put great pressure on the ball. He can pick up in the backcourt and turn ball handlers. So, you know, I think that he's a guy that he's really good at advanced passes. I think that's the one thing when different staff members went to watch him practice in Oak Hill was his ability to lead transition points both off the bounce and off advanced passes.
And then, you know, obviously this season you guys did a really nice job of adjusting with a lack of depth and lack of size. Looks like, or how well do you feel like you addressed those two issues in particular with this entire signing class?
Yeah, I mean, I think
as well as the red shirts, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you look at, you know, size, you know, with this signing class, you know, obviously, you know, you start with you know, Jalen at his size, Jalen Williams, and at 6'10", and the ability to play a couple different positions. And Moses gives us great size at 6'6", 200 pounds, and then you look at, you know, Devo Davis is long at his position, and obviously Jalen Tate. You know, it's not just about the four high school guys, but Jalen Tate at 6'6" gives us good size. And then you think about the sit-out guys. Vance Jackson is another guy that was a grad transfer commitment at 6'9", and then 7'2" sitting out. Connor and Bebe gives us some size as well. So I think our roster looks significantly different than last year.
As a coach, how much better do you feel about having, you know, so many options? You know, last year you were pretty limited, especially when Isaiah got hurt. And now it looks like you've got a whole lot more things to, you know, a lot more chess pieces on the board.
Yeah, I mean, we had lengthy discussions all morning. One of the meetings lasted about 3 hours today, just about, you know, style of play, format of practice is going to be different. There's going to be a lot more competitive things when we get back together. There'll be a lot more 5-on-5 than what we did last year, where last year was a lot of station work. But because of our depth and lack of depth last year, we had to do a lot of 4-on-0 technique work in stations, and now we're going to be able to teach more instead of teaching parts of an offense or parts of a defensive scheme. Now we're going to be able to do more whole off the fly. It'll be important as a coach to be able to, when there is stoppage in a practice, to be able to coach all 10 players off one stoppage rather than just you know, teaching 2 or 3 guys at a station breakdown. I'll be much more involved in practice, you know, than maybe even what I was this past year.
And I had a few more questions, but I'll turn it back over to Kyle if he doesn't mind swinging back around to me at the end.
Thanks, Bob. We'll come back. Alyssa, do you have any questions?
Drew is going to ask questions. Thank you, Kyle.
What is Drew's phone? What are the last 4 numbers of Drew's phone number? We'll come back. Nate, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I got a couple. Eric, with the deeper roster, I mean, do you now have like a quicker hook in the game where a guy makes a mistake, you pull him out, or you still feel you need to let him play through things?
No, I mean, I think, you know, the one thing I've learned through experience is you got to let players play through their mistakes. You know, I certainly think there was times last year where a guy could have used a quick blow to catch his breath and come back in. So I think, you know, that'll change a little bit now, where, you know, I thought we played really hard all possessions, but now that maximum effort is really going to have to be demanded on every single possession, which I think it was pretty close last year, but I think now, you know, it'll be even more so.
With the more size up front, you go inside more than you did last year and not rely on the three, or is it really still the same style?
Yeah, I mean, I you know, I think, yes, we do have more size, but Connor Vanover's strength to shooting the three, Vance Jackson's strength to shooting the three, Jalen Williams can make a three, Moses Moody's a very good three-point shooter, JD Note's a really good three-point shooter. So I don't necessarily, you know, think that we're going to, you know, change who we are, but you also want to go to your roster strengths, and we haven't been together. So, you know, until we're together and we figure, you know, I'm not going to determine rotations, the players are, and that's why this time's important to them too. Who's working on their ball handling in their driveway? Who's running on their own? Who's going to come in the best condition? Who's getting shots up in their driveway? All those things become important.
Thanks.
Drew, you there?
Yeah, hey, Kyle.
Got questions from us?
Yeah, hey, Coach. Checking on Jalen Williams, and just wanted to get a comment on how great of a passer you think this guy can be as a 6'10" forward/center, the way he can pass out of double teams.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Jalen has proven, you know, what a great passer he is, and what a willing passer he is. And I think that, you know, that's one of the things that, you know, the strength of our team. Moses Moody's really unselfish player. He's a very good passer. Vance Jackson has really good court vision. Jalen Williams has great court vision. Connor Vanover's very good at the elbows as a passer. Jalen Tate's a great passer. KK Robinson has great court vision. Devo Davis has really good court vision. JD and Desi are two guys that, you know, that are willing passers, although they can score the ball. I don't think we're a ball dominant team with one guy, Isaiah Joe. If he comes back, he's proven to be, as far as I'm concerned, he's one of the most unselfish players that I've ever coached.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
Scotty?
Yeah, you kind of answered my question a little bit just then. But I guess just your overall feelings about the guard group that you've got on paper right now. It seems like you got a little bit of everything, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're always looking to, you're always looking to try to continue to get better. But right now, I mean, I think we have good chemistry. I think our guys are about the right thing. Obviously, we're not going to really truly develop court chemistry until we get together. But we've been methodical on the pieces that we've added to try to keep versatility, to try to keep somewhat of positionless basketball. But we also wanted to add and have more depth, and we wanted to have more size, but still keep flexibility of trying to create mismatches on both ends of the floor. And hopefully, we'll be able to do that.
And what was it like, getting to know KK's family? Because I think he pushed his signing back just because I think it was like a special day. He wanted to do it, just for his dad.
Yeah, no, I think, I think that, whenever you're around really family, family-oriented people that that's what you want in your program. And obviously, KK and his family are very, very close. And look, he made a commitment, a long time ago to us, and so whether we got the paperwork back on the first day or today was we understood, both he and Moses, that they were fully committed, and it was just a matter of when the paperwork came in, not if it would come in. And the commitment from all these guys, like they've wanted to be here, and that's probably the coolest thing of all of this is just we never worried about these guys joining us. We felt like they've been all in from the time they made the verbal commitment.
Thanks. I've got one more. I'll wait for a little bit later.
Go ahead, Scotty. Go ahead and knock it out. You just got one more.
Yeah, I was just going to follow up with you. I think the teleconference about a month ago, what you think you learned about yourself as a coach your first year here.
I mean, I think you're always trying to evaluate. We've gone back, and I'm about halfway through watching I want to watch the full season by the end of this month. As we get into May, I want to kind of turn the page, but right now I want to use April to go back and look at things we did well, things that we want to improve on, substitution patterns. I want to try to evaluate everything, and certainly, Coach Mosier's been a big part of watching the game tape with me, and Michael Musselman and Pat Eckerman and Hayes and Riley and Coach Ruda. I mean, that group has been in here with me every day this entire month of trying to break games down and dissect them, but we feel like we had a really good year. I think there's always areas for improvement and always areas for growth.
Thanks so much.
Kevin, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, we're going back to the well. Bob, do you have any more?
Yeah. They're 16. Just kidding. Couple more. Eric, I guess, last year you were really scrambling and you added some good pieces even as late as you got there, but what was it like having a full year, and just how good do you feel about, the guys you targeted and were able to bring in to the class?
Yeah, I mean, certainly we feel good about, the class, and like I said, I mean, it's a lot different feeling when you're able to, you're not worried about, moving or anything like that. So we were able to focus on our roster and have an incredible, our first, incoming freshman class is incredible. And then I think we added two phenomenal pieces in the grad transfer where two guys are immediately eligible. And I think we had some guys sitting out. We were patient with some roster spots instead of taking guys last year that maybe would have just filled a hole for the year. And, we were patient with Connor and JD. And I think those guys are really, really going to be able to help us.
And you got, including the red shirts, 9 newcomers. Those guys, red shirts, have college experience, but they never played for you at Arkansas. Especially when we don't know when you're going to be able to, bring in guys for workouts and stuff. Like normally they'd be working together in the summer. How big a challenge is that with 9 new pieces, try to put a team together under these circumstances we're all under right now?
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is I think my background of being in the minor leagues and having, I've had a lot of flexibility in rosters, and at Nevada we had a lot of new pieces on certain years. And, the good thing is, Connor, Bebe, JD, those 3 guys, they know our verbiage, they know our terminology. Obviously JD, Desi, Ethan, Reggie, Isaiah. That's 8 guys you know, a mecca. That's 9 guys that can help any of our new guys from a terminology standpoint and so forth. So, yes, we have a lot of new guys, the 4 freshmen and Jalen Tate and Vance Jackson that we've got to get up to speed as quick as we possibly can. But I think there's some guys who can really help from a culture standpoint as well.
And then I know you said when you got hired, you know, there wasn't a ton of high school players in Nevada, and you had to go out and get guys like California and things. Were you surprised, I guess pleasantly surprised, at how many high school players Arkansas produces, you know, at a fairly regular pace?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we knew, you know, because I had known about the history and you know, obviously when you look at the past of how many great players have come out of this state, you know, we are fortunate that you know, that there was 4, you know, guys in the top 100. You know, we got all 4 that were consensus throughout many of the different rankings. Those 4 guys were the 4 guys that were pretty consistent being top 100 guys, and we got all of them. So extremely excited about that. It's not often that you can come into a situation and have that many guys within your state and be able to land, you know, all of them. And they did a great job of recruiting each other. You know, more important than anything we did as a staff, it was those 4 young guys kind of banding together and their families, all talking through the process and you know, obviously 3 of them kind of waiting to see how we played and see what our culture looked like before signing.
Not a couple more off recruiting topics, if that's okay. You know, Corey Williams, I'm sure you know he was drafted by the NBA and the NFL. What do you think about that? And what was this year like having Corey on staff? What do you feel like he brought to the table for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, Corey is you know, he's really easy to be around. He's got a great personality. I think when you think about his playing career, obviously there's not many people, you know, I mean, whether it's Bo Jackson or Deion Sanders or Dave Winfield, there's very few people that are drafted by 2 sports. You know, Corey's got a lot of great stories from his time in the NBA. You know, he's a former head coach, so that puts me at ease. His wife is a great part of our basketball family. You know, she gets along with everybody. Corey gets along with everybody. Corey is a guy that does a great job with life skills with our players. He's a very spiritual man. Our guys like to confide in Corey. They like to lean on him. You know, and he did a great job for us recruiting. He does a great job for us on the floor, and he does a great job in game.
And then the media. I know we talk a lot about your social media skills. Do you ever get surprised at the reaction? Most of it pretty positive. I guess there's been at least one SEC assistant coach out there that seems to have targeted you for maybe going overboard. I don't know. What do you think about the media or the social media reaction to your videos, which is pretty overwhelmingly positive?
Yeah, I mean, it's when you know, I think that if you can hit on a 98% positive and a 2% not, I'll take those odds in anything in life.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm not really worried about the 2%.
Okay. I think it's Kim English over at Tennessee that's maybe had some tweets about, you know, maybe it's in that 2%. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't really know who he is.
Okay. He played in Missouri. And just wanted to double check. So you never acted in any plays or anything as a kid growing up? You didn't do any acting at all?
No, I haven't, Bob.
Okay.
I might, though. I mean, maybe when I'm retired from coaching, I'll have a late career as an actor.
Maybe you could do some community theater or so. Okay. Well, I think I'm good.
All right. Thanks, Bob. Nikki.
Hi, Coach. How's it going?
Good. How are you, Nikki? You've been quiet lately.
I'm good. I'm good. Last week you mentioned the new proposal that prospects or players will get a one-time penalty-free transfer rule. What do you think that will do to the complexion of the game?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, Nikki. I'd rather not, not comment until there's clarity of, if it's going to pass, and then if it passes, when exactly it goes into effect. Just as anything, when we know what that is, I can give a better, feeling. But I do think that anytime with anything that we can give, the student athletes, it's all about, them and, whatever, helps them have the 4 best years of or 2 years or 3 years or however long they're in college, that they can have the very best lifetime experience. I'm all for it.
One more, Coach. KK and Moses playing at Oak Hill and Montverde. What do you feel like that adds to their game, if anything? Do you think they have any kind of competitive advantage playing with and against some of the best in the nation consistently, not just through AAU?
Yeah, I mean, I think that for sure, with any player who plays at a high level or has great teammates, and you look at a guy like Moses. I mean, both of them, KK and Moses, they were both really, really, really unselfish on their high school team. And, when you go to college, obviously it's a step up for everybody, but I think both those guys really understand what team basketball is. Both those guys played for 2 coaches that could be college coaches. There's zero doubt that both those guys are college level coaches. They're probably better than a lot of college coaches, to be quite honestly. And they're probably better than a lot of college head coaches for sure. So they're coming from great programs, have been well coached, understand what team basketball is.
Gotcha. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thanks, Nikki.
Trey.
Hey, Coach, it's Trey.
Hey, Trey.
Most of my questions have been answered, but I do have one it's not really Razorback related. But I was wondering, it's actually kind of in 3 parts. But did you watch the first 2 episodes of The Last Dance last night? In your opinion, is Michael Jordan the greatest of all time? And if so, why? And how many points do you think? I know you probably hate hypotheticals like most coaches, but how many points do you think he would average in today's NBA?
Yes, I did watch it. My wife watched it with me. She told me to shut up because I kept referencing things that I either knew of or was semi a part of, or my daughter actually, I couldn't believe that she sat through 2 episodes at her age, but she did. I thought it was an incredibly great show for not necessarily people my age. I think for our student athletes or younger, it was great because they've heard about the Bulls and Michael Jordan, but they don't really know. And I think it was eye-opening. We talked today with our team on a Zoom call. I kind of asked them what lessons, what an incredible lesson to hear Michael Jordan's mom talk about when he was cut. They didn't, he didn't want to transfer schools. Basically, the family told him to stop complaining and go work hard and earn your way onto the team. I just, you watch Scottie Pippen and you're talking about a guy who, other than his contract situation, did what he needed to do to be, Robin to Batman and be a team player and be the best second fiddle guy there was. And the cool thing, and we talked about our team, there was a lot of Arkansas stuff involved in that show. Mm-hmm. Whether it be Pippen where he grew up or the Central Arkansas stuff and Joe Klein. And so a lot of Arkansas, stuff in those first 2 episodes. Yes, in my time, Jordan was the hardest guy to prepare for. He had a lethal post-up game. Interesting, I was going through some of my old notes. I obviously tweeted out, the 4 box scores when I was an assistant with Chuck Daly, and we played that particular team when I was with the Orlando Magic, and then I went back and looked at the box scores when MJ played his last year with Washington, and one of the games we couldn't stop him in the post. He just torched us with his turnaround jump shots. I don't know if there's too many players that have ever used the backboard. His shots off the glass were insane. And obviously last night's show portrayed what he did in that Boston series with a young player and a team that really didn't have much around him, and how he could carry him against a veteran-laden team that had great team defense, whether it's, Bird or McHale or Walton or Rick Carlisle or Danny Ainge or Dennis Johnson. I mean, that was an incredibly great defensive team, and he just torched them. So in my mind, yes, MJ is the greatest of all time.
And by the way, Bill Clinton and Sidney Moncrief also in that. I know this is a speculation question, but in today's NBA, how many points do you think a Michael Jordan in his prime would average?
I think you could probably tack a couple more points on. Again, because I went through all these box scores, and the number of 3-point shots that were taken then compared to now is drastically different. I mean, even our Warriors team against the Wizards team when he played for them, we were a high-scoring team. I think we were second in the NBA in scoring that year, and we didn't even take that many threes. So I think you can certainly, tack on a few more points just because I think he would have taken more threes, in today's game. And just his ability to draw free throws attempted. I mean, he's incredible player getting to the foul line.
Appreciate you, Coach. That's all I've got.
Okay, thanks.
Hutch.
Yeah, Coach, I know you dealt with it at Nevada with guys testing the draft waters, but how do you approach this from a roster standpoint? Do you recruit like you need to fill the Isaiah spot, or would you possibly leave the scholarship open kind of like you did this past year?
Yeah, I mean, at Nevada, because we had 3 guys, it was really problematic, especially because, Caleb Martin was on all draft boards. It wasn't like he was off some. I mean, he was squarely a second-round draft pick. And Cody, we felt like he had intangibles and could, and the difference is those guys were going to workouts. We were setting up their workout schedule. Those 2 in Jordan Caroline's, we were setting them up around their class schedule so they didn't miss classes. So there was a lot of logistical things that went into it. So 3 guys, I think you kind of got to protect yourself. I think we've gathered a lot of NBA information for Isaiah and for his dad, Derek, to digest. I think we'll just kind of have to play it by ear, but certainly, Isaiah Joe scholarship is clearly in place at Arkansas. So we're not gonna recruit as if he's not here. We will recruit as if he is here. And then if he, decides to go to the NBA, we'll expect our guys on our roster to step up and have an extended role. If Isaiah comes back, then we feel like our team is in good shape. And just, having said that, we're going to continue, to try to put forth the best roster that we possibly can. I'm in the office today. There's been new names in the portal today. We're going to continue to watch film of those guys. We'll continue to make phone calls. We'll continue to work. We'll continue to recruit high school players, JC players, and transfers every day until the roster's set and we're in school.
I appreciate it, Coach. That's all I got.
Thanks, Andrew.
Ty.
Hey, Coach. So you mentioned the players are going to really determine the rotation, and I know that KK and Moses played together when they were younger. Devontae and Jalen were on the same AU team. They played each other growing up. Would you be comfortable to play at a time next season or this season playing for freshmen at once?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's same thing in the NBA. I mean, if you have really good rookies, you play them. If you have really good freshmen, you play them. I mean, at Nevada, Cam Oliver and Lindsey Drew, my first year at Nevada, you can look at the minutes those two guys played and look at the number of starts they had. I mean, we're certainly going to play the guys that are the best and fit together. And again, I think that you look at those two guys at Nevada and you look at their minutes and their number of starts and whoever fits the best will be the guys that earn the rotation and earn the minutes.
I got one more. It's a little off base. I know you've talked extensively of how much your father's impacted your coaching career. How cool is it that you get to share a similar type of legacy with your son, Michael?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, probably the one kind of regret that I have is that my dad wasn't living when I became the head coach of the Golden State Warriors. And I remember taking a little break right before the press conference. I even asked my mom to leave the room. It was about 15 minutes before the press conference, and I broke down crying just because my dad and I were the first father-sons, in the history of the NBA as head coaches, and there's been very few, even to this day, that have that. And obviously, Michael's made a decision to go into coaching, and I worked with my dad with the Timberwolves, and to this day, that year with my dad was one of the best years that I've ever had, and certainly hope that Michael, in due time, when he's not coaching with me, that he'll look back at this time. But we've been fortunate, that he was a graduate assistant at Nevada with me. And so now, both Nevada and Arkansas, he's been a part of it with me, and he's learning, and he does such a good job because he's so close to the player's age and can tell me, hey, Dad, that's not really cool on social media, or hey, Dad, that video, we're not going to release that, or hey, Dad, this is a good idea. And certainly on our visits, he's done a really good job of connecting with people. So that from a personal standpoint, to be able to work with your son is a really, really cool thing. I don't know if he thinks it's cool, but I do.
Unmuted.
All right, I'm going to open everybody up. Anybody have any more questions for Coach Musselman here before we go?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, this is Bob again. I had one more. And
sorry, Bob, I have a question.
Okay, who's that?
No, sorry. Go ahead, Bob. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Hey, when you tweet out those pictures of box scores, were those like the original box scores from 20 whatever years ago, or had you just made copies of those like off the internet, or how old were those boxes?
Those are copies, probably from, I'm going to say, my Warrior days, actually.
Okay, so why do you have all those old boxes?
Well, I'm sitting here with Mike Haywood. I got all of our old practice plans. I actually went today. I have the entire that year with Orlando Magic because I wanted to tweet out the practice plan leading up to the Bulls. I actually have practice plans, the entire training camp practice plans, and then I stopped and I missed like 2 weeks in November. It goes till November 10th. I tracked down Tom Sterner, and Tom Sterner's actually sending me in the mail all of our practice plans because I'm missing about 45 from that year. And Kaywood's sitting here right now. He's got the practice book with the handwritten notes, so he can take a picture and send it to you if you want him, Bob.
Okay. And then I may get my years mixed up, but you mentioned about Jordan and the Wizards. I know by then he sat out a couple of years, and then he was like, I don't know, 38 or 39 or something. Well, if you faced him in his Wizards years, what was he like then?
Slower, non-athletic. You'll see on Sunday, because I'm going to tweet out the box scores from those games, but our whole game plan was to try to get out and transition as much as we could. We didn't want to play in a half-court game. Actually, Earl Boykins played one of our 2 games against the Wizards. Earl completely dominated the game in about an 18-minute segment. But Jordan's post-up game was incredible. He had just kind of lost his ability to draw free throws attempted at that particular stage.
So at that point, you wanted to run and kind of wear him out. Yeah.
Wear him out, get him in transition, not allow him to get in the half court and post up, really.
But he was still pretty good even at that advanced stage in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, he was, I don't know what he averaged that year, but I think he had like 18 against us one time and maybe 21 the other game. So he was still pretty doggone good, trust me.
Yeah. Oh, okay, thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Bob.
Hey, Coach, there's a carpool video out. The parade. Whose idea was that?
Mine.
We just saw it.
It was mine. I got some good neighbors.
Coach, you mentioned how Isaiah was going to explore the draft. Any updates on Mason, or do you expect him to just go ahead and pursue the NBA?
Yeah, I expect Mason to pursue, but it's up to Mason to make his decision, and make it public whenever he's ready to. But certainly Isaiah and his family have made it very clear to me, what they are doing and how the process will go. So I guess Mason will probably at some point reveal exactly what he's going to do.
Appreciate it.
All right, this is Pete. I have one question. I don't know if you've already been asked this, Coach, but during the evaluation process on Moses Moody, what kind of stuck out to you?
On Moses?
Yes, sir.
I think that, just his ability to be a 3-level scorer. I mean, we love his size at 6'6". He's done an incredible job of adding strength and weight. He's up to 200 pounds now. I think he's an extremely underrated offensive rebounder. I think he's extremely underrated with his stuff around the rim, his flip shots. We all know he's a great 3-point shooter. His 3-point percentage at Mountain Bird tells you that. We know he's a very, very good free throw shooter. His percentages tell you that. I think he can be a really good defender with his length. I think he'll be an excellent defensive rebounder at that small forward / off guard spot. So just his versatility. And then I know for sure what a great teammate he is and how unselfish he is and how he plays the game the right way. And he's got a very high basketball IQ.
Thanks, guys.
All right, last call. Anybody have anything else?
Coach, this is Buck Ringo, Times Record, Fort Smith. I want to ask you a little bit more about Jalen Williams because I covered him quite a bit when he was at Northside High School. Jalen could do a lot of things, obviously with a guy his size, he could shoot, he could dunk, but I think one of the things he really improved on as a senior was his outside shooting. He did a good job at times shooting from the outside, so I was wanting to get some thoughts from you on Jalen's all-around game.
Yeah, no, I mean, we feel like he could play a few different positions. We don't think that he's just a one-position player. Certainly his ability as a passer, his willingness as a passer, his ability to make 3-point shots, makes him even more of an intriguing prospect. He seems to, he always texts back, he calls back, he's very engaging. Both his parents are excited about him coming to Arkansas. Defensively, I know on that senior night, You know, I think it was 31 seconds. He had an incredible shot block. They go down the other end. There's an offensive possession. They come back. Opposing teams got an opportunity to tie the game or win it. He does an incredible job of coming over from the weak side. He takes a charge, and this was after the possession before that he blocked the shot. I'd say, you know, 10 out of 11 players would have come over and tried to block a shot again because he was coming off of a block shot the possession before, but he took the blow in the middle of the chest, took a charge, 2 game-winning plays at the defensive end, and that particular night, those 2 plays stood out to me as winning plays in a big game with a great crowd.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.
Yes, thanks.
All right. That's going to wrap us up. Muzz, thanks for the time.
Thank-
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Guys, appreciate it.
Thanks.
Kyle.
Thanks, Steve.